Hey everyone, my name is David, and in this video, I'm going to be going over the basics of Git and how to use it. Git is essentially a system for keeping track of changes over time that happen to a local set of files. It can be used by many people at the same time to efficiently work together and collaborate on team projects. Basically, it's a massively popular tool for coordinating parallel work and managing projects among individuals and teams. In my opinion, knowing Git is essential to being a developer nowadays, and you'll often encounter it in many of the projects that you'll work on. So Git is mainly used in the command line interface, which you can access using a terminal. You can check if you have Git by just typing in Git, and this should come up on your screen. However, if you don't have Git, I'm going to put a URL on the screen so that you can download it yourself. I won't be going over how to download it, but there's plenty of resources on YouTube to help guide you through that process. And just verify you have it after you download it by doing git -- version, or like I said, just typing in Git. Let's start by going over some basic Git commands. For this video, I'm going to show you how to use Git for a simple React app. However, feel free to do this on any project directory that you'd like to use version control with. The first step to using Git is to create a repository inside of the directory that you'd like to use version control with. You can do this by running the command git init. This command is used to initialize a Git repository and create a .git folder. A Git repository serves as a container for your project that is tracked by Git, and all the information that Git needs for your repository will be stored in the .git directory. So although you can't see it on the left side of my screen, I can actually just type in cd.git to change directories into the .git directory. And you can see that all the information that Git needs is stored right here. As you work on your code base, you'll often take snapshots or commits of the current state of the files. In other words, you save the current version of your code in a commit. Commits allow you to switch back and forth between different versions of your code, and they can be especially useful if you want to revert your code back to a previous version. Commits are also usually created at logical points in your code, such as when you finish a feature or when you make a certain modification that you'd like to save. Before we make a commit, we have to add untracked project files to the staging area. As you can see here, all of our project files are currently untracked, and to stage them, we can use the command git add. So we can add a file individually by running git add and then the name of the file. So I'm going to start off with .git ignore. So now if we type git status, you can see that .git ignore is now staged and ready to be committed. If we'd like to stage multiple files at the same time, we can run the same thing, git add, and then I'm going to add readme.md and then packagelog.json. So all you have to do is just add them as separate space-separated words after git add. And now if we do git status again, you can see that all 3 files are now staged and ready to be committed. If we'd like to actually stage just everything inside of our project directory, all we have to do is type git add dot. So this will add everything, including directories and all the files inside of those directories. So now it looks like all the files we have inside of this project are now staged and ready to be committed. Since we're done adding all of our project files into the staging area, we're now ready to make our first commit. So to commit the files, we can use the command git commit. Pretty straightforward, right? And after you type in git commit, you'd also like to put a message along with that commit, kind of just to describe exactly what you're committing to your code base. So in this case, I'm just doing my first commit. So I can just write first commit. You could also just say like started project. Really anything that describes exactly what you did should be used for your commit message. So as you can see here, after I ran git commit, you can see that Git spits out a bunch of lines basically describing what it did. But in essence, all this did was create one commit and save the current version of our code. Since we've now made our first commit, we can actually see all of the commits we've done in our code. And we can do that by typing git log. So if you look here, we've only made one commit, but each commit is associated with a specific hash. So right here, you can see this really long string of random numbers and letters is the hash for our commit. And this is super important for going back to see what our version of code was like at that certain commit. And we can actually switch to that exact commit by running, oh, I didn't save that, but if I highlight this, copy it, there we go. And then I can run git checkout that hash. We're already in the head, but basically when we run this command, it will switch that commit and we can actually see the state of our files at that specific commit. I'm also already at the head right now. And by the way, the head means you're at the very most recent commits for your code. So if you'd like to go back to your head, even though I'm already here right now, you can just type git checkout and then master. And that will bring us back to the most recent commit in our code. Software is usually developed non-linearly, meaning that you might have different people working on different features of codebase simultaneously. Git makes this much easier through branching. A branch can be interpreted as an individual timeline of our project's commits. With Git, we can create a quote-unquote alternate universe for our code by creating a new branch. We can create a new branch by running git branch new branch. Or you can actually just name this whatever you'd like. I'm going to call my new branch for the sake of this example. However, it really doesn't matter what you name your branch. Once you create that new branch, you can switch into that branch by running git checkout and then the name of that branch. So now you can see that instead of saying master in my terminal, it says new branch, and all of the changes we make in this new branch will only affect this current branch until we re-merge it back into our main master branch. Just to give an example, I'm going to show you how to merge a branch back into your master branch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a quick change to this app.js file. Instead of learn React, I'm just going to say learn data structures. Pretty basic, but honestly, if you don't know your data structures, you really should learn them. They're pretty important. Now if we type git status, oh, did I save that? You can see that it says I've modified app.js inside of my src folder. So the first thing I have to do, as I mentioned before, is you have to stage that file. So I'm going to type git add source app.js. And now if you type git status again, you can see that app.js is now in our staging area. And now we're ready to commit. So I'm going to type in git commit -m to specify the message. And I'm going to say, I don't know, learn your data structures. And after that, you can see that we have our new commit. And we can see git log. We can see that we now have two commits. We have our first commit we had before, and now we have the second commit saying to learn your data structures. So I'm going to exit out of that now. And that's all you have to do to make your commit. I'm going to switch back into our master branch. Oh, git checkout master. And now we're back in our master branch. And if we'd like to merge our changes, actually, if you see here, you can see it says learn React. So it actually reverted back to what we had before. But if we'd like to pull our changes from our new branch into our master branch, all you have to do is type in git merge and then new branch. And now if you see here, we have our changes now in our master branch. And that's that. One thing that I'd also like to mention is that you may encounter something called a merge conflict, which means that someone's made changes on the master branch, and when you try to merge changes on another branch back into your master branch, there may be overlap, which means you have to resolve a merge conflict. I'm not going to be going over this in this video, but I think it's definitely something you should know, and if you're interested in Git, I recommend Googling some videos on YouTube and learning more about merge conflicts. Anyway, that's the basics of Git. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit, and best of luck on your CS projects.